Good morning, and thank you for joining today's webinar from Spec Innovations, What's New in Innoslate 4.3. My name is Elizabeth Steiner, and I will be the moderator for today's webinar. Before we get started, let's go over some quick housekeeping and announcements. During the presentation, feel free to send us questions, and we will get them answered in the question and answer part of the webinar. You can also interact with us on LinkedIn through the Innoslate users group or through Twitter using the handle @Innoslate. The webinar is being recorded and we will make it available to you after the live presentation, so be sure to keep an eye out for it in your inbox. Slides are available in the handout section of the GoToMeetings panel. Spec Innovations is now providing 5 unique Innoslate online training courses. This live interactive online training series covers the full system lifecycle, Innoslate, and the lifecycle modeling language. Your instructor will provide hands-on, practical training on how to use Innoslate effectively and efficiently. We highly suggest taking an overview of Innoslate first. After that, you can take any of the following classes in any order. We have Requirements Management and Analysis, MBSD in Digital Engineering, Verification and Validation, and Program Management. You can view the available courses and register at specinnovations.com/training. Now I'd like to introduce you to our presenter, Dr. Stephen Dam. He'll be discussing and demonstrating the major new features and improvements in Innoslate's latest update. Dr. Dam is the president and founder of Spec Innovations. He has been involved with research, experiments, operations analysis, software development, systems engineering, and training for more than 40 years. Dr. Dam participated in the development of C4ISR Architecture Framework and DoD Architecture Framework. He has also received an Expert Systems Engineering Professional certification from NCOSE. He currently is applying systems engineering techniques to various DoD, DOE, and commercial projects. Feel free to send Dr. Dam any questions to the LinkedIn Innoslate user group or send him an email if you have any questions after the webinar. And now I'll hand over the controls to Dr. Dam and we'll get started.
Thanks, Elizabeth. So we're going to do a quick overview of the individual features, the major features that have been added to the tool. There were a lot of minor feature upgrades and bug fixes. Those are all available in the release notes, the full detail. If you don't know how to get the release notes, it's fairly easy. You go to the resources page on at innoslate.com and then go to the release notes, I believe, or there's a tab there for it. So we'll try to show you that a little bit later. So we added a new diagram, the interface control diagram. That was one that we've been wanting for some time. Also, another user request was the Risk Burndown Chart, so we've added that. Another set of big things that people were looking for is the ReqIF Import and Export, so we have that capability now. We've also done a lot of work with security in terms of single sign-on kinds of capabilities and using smart cards for sign-on. We've had a CAC capability for quite some time for the DoD level, but a lot of other people want to use different cards, and so the HSPD-12 is the more common standard that's used across the US federal government. Also, we have an acronym extractor and an activity feed report. Those are kind of semi-minor features, but there were, again, user requests and thoughts that people had that you might find very interesting and useful for what you're trying to do. So let me go in through each one of them in slide form, then I'm going to go do some demo, and then we'll have plenty of time for questions. So the ICD was designed to describe the decomposition of the conduit. In particular, it shows the capacity and latency of the individual subconduits within a mainline conduit. So you'll see that information in it. Also, you can use it to decompose the assets themselves, and so that's a way that you can start doing this decomposition together with the two. But if you've already decomposed the assets, it will automatically show up with all that decomposition in here. Also, you can add the input-output entities, and again, if they're already been allocated to a conduit through some other mechanism, then they would automatically show up on the graph. Right now, we suggest starting this from an asset diagram. There is, unfortunately, if you open up just a conduit or open up a brand new diagram, there is no way to create those end nodes easily unless they already exist. You can't create them from scratch. So that actually is something that's going to get fixed here in the very near term. So that was something we saw was a limitation. But this was important enough. People were anxious to get this out, and so we've been wanting to get it out for quite some time. So this is actually one of the most recent things we've pushed. Many of these other features, by the way, we have pushed already to the cloud and enterprise versions earlier, but they're considered to be part of 4.3, the 4.3 development process. The risk burndown chart shows the changes in probability of a risk over time. The understanding of a risk burndown chart is that the consequence doesn't change, that the consequence of the risk doesn't change. So the only thing you can change is the probability over time and making it less and less likely as you mitigate the risks and go through that processes. And you can associate those with specific times. And so things like for your timeline chart and your schedule charts, you use time. You can reuse those same times in here as well. So that's another way to do that. The easiest way to access that is through charts view. But you can also go into apparent risk off a risk diagram or something, the risk matrix, and open it up from there. That chart. So that's another thing you can do, and create those child risks as you go. So and then associate the times as you want to. Again, either picking one or going ahead and putting in times as you want to. So again, that's not it. Another way to do that, by the way, is also in the little wrench up at the top right-hand corner. And by the way, always look that top right-hand corner for the wrench, because there's all kinds of neat stuff underneath that wrench. And so one of them is view data sets, and that lets you actually create the data set there automatically. And I think I'll show you that specific access of it. ReqIF Import, if you're not familiar with it, that's used by a lot of requirements tools. It was a standard that was developed. It's heavily used in the oil and gas industry. I ran into that was actually something they thought was critical. And so we worked pretty hard to get this in here, and it looks like it's a very nice integration of that capability. So and you can use the import analyzer to upload the file. So if there's a ReqIF file coming from another requirements tool, you just go into this import analyzer, pick the ReqIF tab, literally, what's the class, default classes requirements. So that's usually what you want. And then so you hit the next button and then hit the upload. You just upload the file. You just drag a file into there, and then you can actually customize it and look at it as its different aspects of it. And then also then preview the import. So again, another thing you can do is if you want to create from Innoslate a ReqIF file, you go into a document in Documents view, and it's actually just a report. So you just select that report, and again, I'm going to show you all these things too. So OAuth, SAML, HSPD12 support, these are things that most of you probably don't care directly about, but it'll make your life a lot easier if you're actually having to do this in a more secure environment. And so I think you're going to find that this is a very valuable capability that we have now in the tool to be able to do this access. And these are required things for many of the certifications and things that we're working towards for Innoslate. The Acronym Extractor is something that, frankly, is something I've been wanting for quite some time. I may have been the user who primarily requested this, but we had other people who requested too. Because if you've ever done documentation, and I've written thousands of proposals I've worked on, and it can take days to create an acronym list from a document. This does it in seconds. And I had written this into a tool I'd built, a Java tool I developed back in 2000. And it was actually one of my favorite capabilities. So we did finally get this into Innoslate, and it's been available in the cloud version for quite some time. And I think it's even been available in many of the enterprise release, previous enterprise releases. So, the point releases after 4.2. So, but anyway, what it does is you get it'll go through and read for it. You get to select where you want to find it, name, number, description, everything. Name and description obviously are the primary ones you're going to look at, and then the confidence levels. You get to pick the confidence level. It's 90%, 65%, and 40%. We don't do 0%, and so that's one of those things where if you do that, you'd probably have a lot of junk. And but that's something we might want to look into. I know I ran into the case where now if I have an acronym that hasn't have any confidence it's an acronym, then there's some issues with it. So again, something we're still working on. Please use it. Give us your feedback. Give us your suggestions on how we might improve it. What are the things you're running into with it? But it does create it as a separate document if you want. So you have that ability. And the acronyms are actually statement objects in the database, and they get related back to wherever they were found. And so if there are multiple instances of that acronym occurring, it will show all those places. So that's kind of cool too. That's actually a very useful feature to make sure that you're really getting the proper analysis of your acronym and getting a complete set. Last but not least is the activity feed report. Now this is something as a manager I absolutely love, because this gives me the ability to get a report on who's been doing what when. I've always said that the activity feed gives me that visually, but to have the full up report is nice, because then I don't have to keep loading more and loading more and loading more. I can see it, and I can get the number. Now we do, I guess, limit the number of columns, so you need to put that in, whatever that value. I'm not sure exactly why we do that, but that's something we're doing. And notice you can also select the type, either all, or did they create something, update, delete, or restore. So again, you can take a look for specific things you're looking at, might be interested in about it. The output files of CSV. So it's easy then to bring into Excel or numbers if you're using the Macintosh, and use it that way. Again, it's right up there, the activity feed. You see it, that little download button at the top right-hand corner of the activity feed. Okay, so enough slides, and let's get into the actual tool itself. And let me make sure it is current. Yeah, okay, good. As you know, our cloud version logs out every 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes. So it is something that's a security feature. It's intentional. That gets adjusted on the enterprise side, by the way. That's actually something that can be set by the database administrator. Okay, so to get to some of the new features, so the first one would be the ICD. So that's in diagrams view. And I have a number of examples here, but just to show you how to get started with it, you could come to an asset diagram, and then you would select the conduit you want to define in more detail. And then that's when you'd go to open, and then you can interface control diagram, okay, is right here. So I can then open the interface control diagram for that. I click on that, and it would give me this picture. So I obviously have not defined this node in more detail, and so I don't know how I'd connect the two together yet, but that doesn't stop me. I can just add a conduit right here. Drag and drop it. There we go. And just select it, move it up where you want it. So it is movable. Don't feel like it's not. Give it a name. something like that, whatever you want to call it. You can assign the capacity here. So let's make it 10. And the units are down here in my version. If you have a newer organization, your units should be right under capacity. And we're gonna make that kilobytes. And since it's a rate, make that per second. Okay. And the latency is not hours, but our lowest number is seconds. So that we have available, so something like that. So you can see I'm putting in the latencies and capacities and seeing what's there. By the way, if I'm wondering what the one is at the top, I can always click into it and see if I've defined that or not. So again, it's right here on the sidebar. That's the bigger the conduit that we're decomposing. And then to connect to one of the lower level assets, which is what you want to do, you just drag the line and create it that way. So, and then I can move this line up and adjust it if I need to try to make it look straight, or however I want it. If I wanted to move it down, and it does the line typing that way. And you also do have the option of going it to straight if you want. It looks funky to me, so I tend not to do it that way. But you know, we try to give you as many options as possible. You can also look at directed and undirected. So if you put directed, it'll show the arrow. And just so you know, the way that's actually implemented in the ontology is if you go to relationships and then see this little button that's right by the X, that shows the attribute for it. So you can switch the origin there if you want to. So you just would flip this from a yes to a no, and that would take away the direction. Again, I could just undirect it up here as well and get rid of it that way. So, yep, see it's now no. So those are things very easy to work with. Again, if I want to now add a decomposition to this command and control station, I would just put in here. I'm sorry, having trouble with my mouse today. There we go. Yep, okay. I'm sorry, I've been working from home, so I haven't had my trackball to work with here. Let me see what's going on with that drag and drop here. And this is me, by the way. Wow, okay. Harder than I thought it was. I've certainly done it before, so that's not.
It's anyway, always so difficult when you have a different mouse. Yeah,
it for some reason was not behaving very well there, so I'm not sure. By the way, this whole chart can be is really locked, so just recognize that as well in it. But so you just add a new asset that way as you need to. I don't think I can move that now that I've got that asset here. I can't move it, so but I can get rid of it if I decide I don't want that there. So anyway, just let's see. Oh, I forgot to show you something else on that. So let's go to another one that I have a little bit more done on it, so you get a little bit more of a flavor of it. And in fact, I was just building this one. And now, do notice something here. This is gold. So, and I'll show you, the gold has a meaning, and you'll see in a minute why. So if I just make another link between here, I did the wrong thing again, didn't I? New conduit here, and show that to here. Okay, and then hook this in that way. So the data elements that you would add into that, just add a data element here. Yeah, so normally they're green. Well, green indicates that there's no conflict between the units of the data element, the size of the data element. So if for example, this is current data, let's call it that. And again, you can stretch this and adjust it as you need to for that purpose. Let me say this is just, yeah, here. For some reason that's not, there we go. Okay, I'm still learning this one, I guess. Here we go. So in this, we can adjust the lines and make it do what you want. But the data element, as I pointed out, was green here because I haven't done anything with units yet. But if I put in the units here, and I make this kilobytes, okay, that turns it gold, okay, because the conduit hasn't been specified. The units for the conduit. So if I specify the conduit units, okay, it turns it green. Well, unfortunately, we just discovered a little error this morning in that that's not how I'd specify a rate. I specify a rate with this. And so now it turns it gold. So that's something we're going to fix. It's important that these units be correct and be consistent, because they are used in the simulator as well. So the purpose, in fact, of this checking for the units here was to give you a static check before it runs in the simulator, and you get an error message in the simulator from it. And that usually shows up in the transcript, by the way, where you'll see that is where you'll see that error. So just be aware of that. That's something we hope to get fixed very quickly, as is the adding in a link, asset, a new asset with the conduit. So what else can I tell you about that? Yeah. So by the way, if you do want to change those assets on the side, you can do that from here. But again, they have to currently be existing, and they can be cross-project. Okay, so you do have both those options with it as well. So again, this is brand new. I'm still learning it myself. Obviously, there are little things in it still I'm not fully satisfied with, and we'll be working on over time. But looking for your feedback and thoughts and ideas of how to make this better. What other things are we missing? Things like that. And we'll come back to this with questions during the question period. So if you've got any questions, feel free to send them in the questions field. So let's move on to the risk burndown chart. That's another one that I'm, again, just getting used to, so bear with me on this. So the risk burndown chart example is one I have already set up. So this is each of these nodes. You can see that's the risk at start. Okay, and so I wanted to find that value, and then here's the risk at SRR, and you see the probability has changed by 10%. As I keep burning down, I go to my next one at PDR, CDR, and then all the way down here to IOC. So those are what I put in there. It's just a set of things. The times that are associated with these, if you click on this element and you go to relationships, you can see the and right now I didn't pin it, so the occurs is right here. So the risk at time, IOC's time. So probably I went through and defined this using one of the mechanisms for the view data sets. So I can see it here as well. view data sets. So you see that in it. And so here's my data sets. So I can change it all right here. I can add a new risk. I can add with it at a new time and associate it that way. And then if I want to then change that later, I could come back and just edit it in the other mechanism. There are also lots of other features here. You can have other things. If you'd rather see a diamond, you can apply that as the view. It's still kind of small, but it is a diamond, so you can see it. So there are lots of different things in that settings, and so view data sets item. You can look at point radius. Now, this is where you can increase that size, I think. And again, I'm just finding this out myself. Okay, cool. There are so many features in this tool. So you get to do, and you can change the colors. Okay, background colors. You can do just anything you need to do to modify the data set. And if you want to do anything to the general view, again, you can set your colors schemes differently. So this could be, you can do the inverse. In fact, if you want to create an inverse chart for opportunities, you could have an opportunity growth chart to increase the probability of the opportunities. So just changing the colors. And so there's nothing that prevents you from using it that way as well. What else is here? Yeah, the labels, axes. So again, you have a lot of control over the look and feel of this. Again, here's your labels for your axes. So if you need them, but probably in time are probably what you're going to mostly want to use for it. So this actually has a lot of application for maybe a variety of other ways of seeing and doing things. Another little minor feature that pops up here, I just wanted to show you, is that here's the show cross-project indicators. So we do have that now in the tool, so you can see where the cross-project items are. So that's not something I'm prepared to show you today, but that is now available in the tool as well as another little feature. Like I say, there's a lot of little things in that that you're going to want to look at in the user's guide. Let's see, what else was I going to show you? Oh, I know, some ReqIF stuff. So let's go to Documents View first. Well, actually, let's go to the Import Analyzer first. Sorry. So here's the Import Analyzer. Again, we have tabs for different data types that we're trying to you're trying to import. The new one here is ReqIF. That's very nice. Again, you can set either statements or requirements. That's the way ReqIF's specification is that's what you're bringing into the tool. And then once you're ready, you're happy with that, you hit next, drop the file in, and then you can customize it and preview it. I don't have an example handy, so I don't have something I can show you. I was just trying to get to that, but it's been a rather busy time for us. Believe it or not, even with this virus going on, we're actually extremely busy and many things going on at once. So anyway, that's on import of the ReqIF file. If you want to export it, you just come to any document, and let's pick one of these requirements documents. And all I do is, it's a report. So I go to Reports button, select it at the bottom here, ReqIF. So that then will actually create that ReqIF file for you. What I can do is do that, and I'll put that into a new, let's just do it. And I'll bring it into a new one. Project is what I'll do. And let me put that up at my desktop level. There we go. And so I'm putting that on my desktop so I can see it and grab it from there. Of course, I have to minimize things. There we go. Okay, now I'll be able to grab it. Okay, so let me open up a new one because I don't want to mess up my wonderful little demo. So create a new project. And import analyzer. So let's see. So upload the file. Hope Josh is washing. Okay, it was that quick. And then hit next. And now you can see the mapping between the fields that we have. So both statements and requirements. So we have both here as examples. And so you can see the different things that you can have there. You can select different other options as you want to, but labels to labels, description to description. So since it's our schema mapping to itself, it's pretty easy, right? But if you're coming in from something else, particularly like a doors or something like that, where they kind of roll their own schemas, this is critical for you. And then you can preview it and then save it. So anyway, and that takes a minute or two, I guess. I'm not sure here what didn't see anything on the preview. Previous. Okay, so anyway, so that way you get to see the actual operation of it. So it's still operating here. There we go. So obviously it's still in preview mode is the problem. Why I haven't saved yet. So it's actually going through and creating those items as we go. So rather than boring you with that detail, let's get back to another thing is the acronym extractor. So let me go back to my sample. And let's see if I can find a document I haven't extracted acronyms from. So here's an acronym list from the high-level system requirements document. So that's that one. Let me just get one from here. So again, it's not hard to do the acronym extractor. You just come up here, select acronym extractor, pick the percentage you want. I'm going to pick 40. You can select everywhere, so it will look at the number as well. And then hit next. So this was a small one, only had 2 it found. So let's go see validation steps. So it found FireSat and United States Forest Service, but there's no definition of them. But you can see where they are, what the location. And so in this now I can fire satellite. Let's see. Okay. And so once we're happy with that, we can hit next. And you determine how you want to add it. Generate the acronyms, add new acronyms to project's acronym document if it has one already, or create a new document from scratch. Keep the traceability or not, create hyperlinks between them. So again, a lot of different features to help you with it. So there is the acronym list, and again, I can just come in here and edit it here too. So okay. So I can adjust it that way as well. And then what do I want to do? Yeah, come back to the documents itself, and we can see the hyperlinks now that have been put in place. So everywhere now the word FireSat is showing up, or USFS, I just select it, and I can I could actually hyperlink to that item. So I can open that in a new tab and see that document that way. And there's the item. So again, different ways to use it to look at the information. If I click on that from the actual documents view of the acronym list, I select that fire set and I can see all the things that's related to it. So I can see where it came from. And that's really, really helpful for you when you're trying to work with this and track it and say, well, okay, there's the acronym. Where is it not being defined properly? So we want to do that as part of it. So yeah, well, I put that in the description field. So in fact, with acronyms, we recommend using the spelling out of the acronym there. And then if you want to use this as a glossary, put in the description field the more complete description. So for example, up here, I could take that information and put it into here, which would be a more logical place for it. Okay. So again, this helps you build your glossary as well as your acronym list as you need. Okay. So that's kind of all the, oh, I'm sorry, one other thing. So the add activity feed report. So here's where that is. That's again right here at the top right corner of the activity feed on the dashboard. So select that, determine who you want to see. So if I wanted to see myself and what I've done, and then I can look at what have I deleted and run that. And then I'm good, that's gonna go to my desktop. I'll be able to see that in a second, there it is. And that up. And it popped it up in numbers for me because that's my default. So then I can see the things that were done. So. Okay, that's my feed. So anyway, lots of new features. Try it out. We're again doing lots of bug fixes. We're of course always introducing new bugs when you do new releases. So when you see a problem, let us know. If you have a suggestion, please give us the feedback form. Send that to us that way. If you're running into a bug or you're running into some kind of urgent problem, remember support is free with the tool. So you can get support anytime you need to. Email is support@innoslate.com, and then our main number is on our website as well. So I was going to show you the guide. So if you go to Help Center, here's where the release notes are. To get to that, let me come back to open up Innoslate.com. Go to the resources page, Help Center, and then release notes. So you can see all the things that have been done. So lots of enhancements and bug fixes and things that are available, the new version. Hopefully we got your favorite ones in, and if not, let us know. What are we needing? Okay. I think we've got plenty of time for questions, so let's open up the floor for questions.
Thanks, Dr. Dam. We've already received a couple of great questions. If you haven't done so, please send your questions to the panel on the right. Dr. Dam will answer as many questions as he can before our time is up. Our first question is, for my applications, we define risks as threats and opportunities. Can we make user definitions for the risk burn down as threats, burn down, and opportunity improvements, or similar words?
Right now, the way we have risk set up is as probability and consequence. If you say Oh, I see. You're saying risk as threats and opportunities. Okay. Yeah, so as an opportunities chart, what I've done previously is, and I don't know if I've got an easy, quick way to get to that. So let me just take a look and see if I've got it. But let's projects. I'll show you what I did with opportunities. Oh, okay. Opportunity matrix. I did have it easy to find. Okay, good. So in here, I created a risk diagram equivalent with the opportunity chart. So what I did was subclass risk, I believe, yeah. So I subclassed risk and showed my opportunities as a separate thing. So I could create a chart that was associated with the opportunity. And so this is all my opportunities, okay? I know it still shows under risk here, but in fact, it is a subclass. It's the opportunities I'm looking at that I'm trying to put in here. And then that's what I'm using to visualize here and work with. I believe I could do exactly the same thing with the risk burndown chart. Again, make it a risk, opportunity enhancement chart. And so you could build the same kind of thing. So again, they're very similar. They're kind of inverses of each other. The way the DoD recently put out a guide called RIO, Risks, Issues, and Opportunities. And we already have risks and issues specifically in the tool. We wanted to show you this way to do the opportunities. So again, but remember, you can edit these names up here to make it into anything you want. So feel free to do things, for that purpose. So unfortunately, we couldn't find a standard chart like this anywhere. So we ended up just kind of making this up. So if somebody actually defines one as an actual standard, we'll probably go ahead and just make it and use it as one of the things we'd add.
We have a clarification from the last question. Two categories of risk: threats, negative consequence risks, and opportunities, positive benefit risks.
Right. So again, we're showing consequence as a 0 to 100. We're not really showing that as we're showing that as, like a percentage. And so you would have to just deal with it that way. Again, you could create your own class. It's just we don't have the charts and things associated with that class, so you wouldn't see it. You wouldn't have all the visuals. So you could create a separate opportunity class that's not associated with risk in any way, but you don't then inherit these charts with it. So does that make sense?
I will let you know what the feedback is for that.
Okay.
Makes
great.
sense to me. Our next question is, will the acronym extractor find the definition for you if it exists?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sorry I didn't pick a better example, but yes, it will find, if you've defined it properly, it will show up, and it's pretty good at catching them. So it's got quite a good capability there.
Our next question is the update v4.3 currently available for Innoslate Enterprise customers to download?
I believe so. I think we did. That's part of why we waited till today, because we released the cloud version about 2 weeks ago, and we usually wait at least 2 weeks to try to find bugs. And of course, we don't find them all. There's always more. And so but we did push that out on Monday. I believe. If not, it's coming very, very soon. I know there was some talk about delaying a day or two because we were trying to get the new version of Tomcat to be uploaded to update it. So there were some issues with that we ran into. So I'm not sure where we are on doing that with it. Okay.
Our next question is, what's next for Innoslate?
Oh, okay. So 4.4 is already being discussed in depth. The theme for 4.4 is the action diagram simulator upgrade. In particular, for quite some time, we've been promising and wanting to do a little better job with program management in the simulator. So things like, one of the things we're looking at is the, now I'm going to forget what it's called. It's been so long. EVM, I'm sorry, yeah, earned value management. And so EVM is something of interest to a lot of people who are trying to use the tool for program management purposes. So that's one of the things we're looking at. We've also been working with a government customer on integration to other commercial products. And so we'll push forward with those integrations for that customer. And then part of the deal is we're going to productize those and make them available to everybody. So one of the ones we've already done that we have is in a draft form is Simulink, MATLAB Simulink interface, so that people can use it for that purpose. But just so you know, we are looking at several other tools, including Systems Toolkit, SDK, and GitHub are two of the others that I know we're looking at the moment. So these are all things I'm really hoping we can get out to people sooner rather than later. This will benefit everybody. And our customer was very smart. They're paying us to do the research, and then we're going to spend the money to productize it. And so it's a very good government-private partnership kind of situation going
on. Our next question is, does the capability to assign a color to each of the classes in the schema editor to provide a color code to diagrams?
Interesting. I don't even know what that is. Somebody found a feature I don't know about. That's not surprising. So in the schema editor, we're here. I don't see anything about color. So I'm not really aware of what that feature is that's being referenced.
Maybe a good question for our developers.
Yeah. But if the desire is to have something where you have the ability to use color to distinguish between different types of things, that's something we've been looking at for quite some time. I would particularly like to do that with labels, is have different colors for labels. That certainly is one of the things that is an obvious one. Label hierarchies would be something else we want to look at, things like that. But we are so even though simulation is the primary theme for 4.4, we're always looking for other things people need or looking for, other diagrams, charts, things that will go with it. We're trying to also create a tighter integration between the simulator and things like our test center. So we could do things with that. So there's just lots of things we have in mind that we want to do and play with. So we're actually looking at, and we're also looking at new technologies as well. So there's a lot of research work going on simultaneously with the development of the tool. But of course, we want to do what you guys need first. So tell us what you need and when.
So right now, there's just a couple housekeeping questions. If you have any questions, please go ahead and take the opportunity right now to ask them while I go over the couple of housekeeping. We're having a few people ask about the slides today. As always, I will make sure to send you the slide deck and a link. If you need a PDF, just let me know and I'll go ahead and send that to you. We'll also be uploading the this video to YouTube as well, and I'll be sending that with the link to the slides. You should receive that probably tomorrow. And then also, I know there was a few technical issues, and we apologize. We're working from home right now and trying to deal with maybe not as great of internet, but we hope that the sound quality was really good for most of you. And with that, if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us afterwards. We're available through email, the Innoslate users group. We're always happy to help. And we'd like to thank you again for joining us for today's webinar. As a reminder, again, we will be following up with you very soon with that link and the recording to the presentation slide deck. We hope that you can come to our next webinar, Advanced Simulation for Systems Engineers. It's on Tuesday, May 26th at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern. You can check out our other resources. We have that new training that we discussed earlier. We have our new book, Real MBSE, and we have lots of videos and documentations. You can check out our resources page. You can also join, of course, our users group on LinkedIn. That's where you'll get updates on the software. You can ask other users questions. You can see new blogs and webinars. You can just go ahead and search for Innoslate and Systems Engineering Users Group. This concludes today's presentation. Thank you again for your attendance, and we hope to see you again at our next webinar. Please enjoy the rest of your day.